Judy, tell me, how did you first get into writing?
Well, Jim, I've been a dog groomer since I was 11 years old, and when I wanted to semi-retire, I took a class about creative writing, and when I did that, I got hooked, found out I had a talent, and I've been writing ever since, which has only been about 5 years now. So I love it. I'm addicted. I couldn't stop writing if I wanted to.
Well, that's 5 books in 5 years. That's very good so far. Tell me about your first book, the very first book you wrote.
Well, the very first book that I wrote was started in that class I was taking, and it's called Coast to Coast with a Cat and a Ghost. And when my husband passed away, I wanted to drive my motorhome across country to Florida to visit a friend. And so I made this life-size doll to sit in the passenger seat of the motorhome, and my husband was a Harley guy, so I dressed this doll up with a Harley hat, Harley earring, bald head, ponytail, and he rode in the passenger seat. So when I decided to write that first book, I thought, well, I'll write about that initial experience traveling across country alone as a woman in her motorhome, overcoming the loss of her husband. And that doll started complaining every time I made a wrong turn or did something wrong. You know how husbands can be. And so that was the ghost in the story. The doll took on the ghost of my dead husband. And then I also have a cat named Sportster who rides along with me and adds his antics. So.
And your second book was a little bit of a play on the first one. Your second one was...
The second one was Going Home with a Cat and a Ghost, and it's purely fiction. The first one was a memoir, but this one's a purely fiction story. But I fell in love with writing in that class, and I thought, I wonder if I could make something up. So I made up the story, and it just happens to be the same character, whose name is Judy Howard, but she's fictional. And she's on her way back to, in her motorhome with her cat, to her 40th high school reunion to go meet up with an old high school boyfriend. And I figure if I can't meet a man, I'll make one up. So it's a mystery romance, just a fun book.
And your third one becomes very serious. Masadas Mission becomes very serious.
Yes.
What brought you to Masadas Mission? First, tell us about the book, and then what brought you to that subject?
Well, the book itself is about, Masadas Mission is about a Marine who comes home from Iraq, and he has PTSD, and it's the problems he goes through, and ends up getting a service dog. So I was inspired. After I found out I had a talent for writing, I wanted to say something. I feel like authors have a chance to change the world. So I wanted to get the message out. I think it's a very tragic situation that our veterans are coming home to, and I don't believe that the public is, well, they're more aware of it now as people are talking about more, but people need to understand what our veterans sacrifice when they defend our country. So that's what the book is about, and it's an inspiring story about how a dog can save a veteran's life.
And you did a lot of original research for this book, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I traveled a lot in my motorhome. I met up with it was difficult at first to do the research. It was hard to do the research because you have to read about a lot of tragedy. So I did a lot of research. It was difficult because it's hard to find veterans who want to tell about the problems that they have. So yes, it took me 2 years to write it.
And you've got 2 books coming out soon, but one of them is a sequel to Masadas Mission.
Yes.
And tell us just a bit about that.
Masadas Mission is partly from the dog's point of view. The dog's name is Masada, and so she helps to tell the story about how she became a service dog. She travels, she gets trained partly by a puppy raiser, but she also goes to a prison and becomes trained in the prison by the prisoners. So it's a inspiring story about how a dog helps this veteran, and how all the training that goes into it. It's very extensive. So again, I feel that the public needs to know what these dogs can do, and also how much they help other people. So in that particular book, I liked it because not only does it show how the dog helps the Marine, but also the prisoners in her journey to become a service dog. So.
Both Masadas Marine and Masadas Mission are obviously serious books. But in reality, it seems to me, as I've read them, that they entertain first, and then if there is the message is there certainly, but they're entertaining books. Would you?
Yeah, I feel sometimes that the public does not want to hear about the tragedy that's happening in our world, and so I kind of. Maybe a little sneaky, but I like to start off with a cutesy dog, and my latest book that's come out, Activate Lion Mode, is about a cat, and everybody will read the book because they like animals, and I always like to slip in some important message, so that's why I write.
Well, now your latest Activate Lion Mode is really a novel for young adults, is that right?
Yes, it is. It's I write by the seat of my pants. I didn't intend to, but after I wrote Masadas Marine, I was exhausted, spent. I really thought about not writing anymore because it took so much out of me, but I could not write. So I decided I'd write about my cat and make it a fun story. So it is for young adults, and the cat gets lost in the Olympic forest, and he thinks that that's okay because he's a cat and he wants to live in the wild anyway. So it's becomes an incredible journey story, and he tries to find his way back home to Judy. And again, it's a fictional novel. The cat decided he was co-author of the first 2 books, but he decided he wanted to write his own book. So it's a fun story. It is for young adults coming of age because it talks about the cat shows how he wants to be on his own, be free, and the problems he encounters along the way, which are some serious issues that our world face today, that the young adults face today. So,
okay, do you have any advice for people who want to be writers?
Well, I travel a lot in my motorhome. I do a lot of seminars about writing, and my passion about writing is that I believe everybody has a story to tell. And I've met in these seminars that I give about writing, people say, well, I don't know if I could write, or people tell me I should write, but I don't know. They always have that doubt. And I did not know that I could write. 80% of the people have thought about writing a book, but I was not one of them. Never considered writing a book until I went to that class and had a 10-minute writing exercise that she said, write down about the color red for 10 minutes. And I thought, well, how ridiculous is that? And when I did that, I could not believe what was in my mind. And all that stuff had been swimming around for almost 65 years. So anyway, people have a story to tell. I think we owe the world our stories because our young folks don't know our history. And I also believe that writing is healing. And my goal right now is to start writing groups for veterans because I believe our veterans have stories to tell that need to be told. So I tell everybody, if you have any doubts, just sit down and write. You'll be surprised at what's there.